Rosie and Harvey were making more quilts for the kids in the interfaith shelter. This is the one my husband will currently work on. This is the cat's, which was leftovers from something that I finally figured out what to do with. This one, he cuts usually. I asked him to cut a certain size. Well, he made a mistake, so we had to improvise and put this around, but actually it turned out better because the white on the white wouldn't have worked. Now, this guy I had a lot of, so I figured, okay, do that. So disappearing 9-patch and a giant 9-patch. I figured a kid will like it, and the back actually works. It just happened. I have a few more of those, and I have more. Now, this one is not quilted because I ran into something I hadn't before. The back I got someplace, but I wanted to use invisible thread, so on this side it would show more. So I got to ask some questions about doing that. But that's not yet. That's after a while. Now we're going to the monkey. You're going to see monkeys in a few things. This was the one that I did, and I had fun because this had a nap, so I had to work with it. Then this one was a UFO. I was pinning it and I thought I was ready. Then I realized an ironing stain. And I did it a while ago. Luckily I found more of the material in the house, so I worked on that one. Now this, what we do is, when it's one for a crib size, we'll do two together with one long back and the 90 wide binding. And then after he quilts it, we just cut it straight down that way, easy. And that way I had to do a 12-inch piece instead of a 6. But I went kind of crazy using the brown. Oh, and I went kind of crazy using the brown, so I'm going to have to get binding after. But right now I'm concentrating on making the quilts. Now this next one, we did two together again, but it was a stretchy material, so I did it on his machine, and then after he did a few of the hearts. And this was a real big piece, and I was trying to figure out what to do with it. I finally came up with it. And after, we're going to cut it straight down there, so it'll be two quilts. Now, I had fun doing two variations on this one, the same thing, how different it looks. But it was fun to do. Now we're going to go to the one that's behind me. This one was squares, but I wanted to offset it a little bit, but I didn't have that much material. So this one here is a little bit bigger, so it offsets the whole row. Then if you look at it, everything looks nice and even. I didn't realize I was short of material, so you're going to see this and this are the only thing that doesn't repeat in every row, because I was short it, and if you didn't know that, it would work. Now we're going to go to this. I couldn't cut up these that much, so I just sewed together browns till they're 8 inches, and then one like that. Now this is one I just kind of played with the colors and had fun with. Now these two, you'll notice the background material shared. It kind of, we finished that, I had leftover, I go, wait a minute, I'll work on that. And then this, it just happened, this has little owls you can't really see, but in the print, the back is an owl material. And this guy we got, and I couldn't figure out what to do, then I go, wait a minute, that'll work. So that came together quickly after we figured out. Now, I got a bunch of ones that have ducks in them somewhere, because I got some duck material on sale, about 15 yards. So all these quilts, here you're going to see, have ducks, and there's ducks on the back, and how different the same quilt can look if you change the colors. Now what we did is, we made this duck one, but I realized to make the second one I was a little bit short, so what do? We put this yellow here and it evened out the whole thing. And then we got another duck quilt, a little bit of duck material. As I went on, I started with 4 of these in each square, and then I realized I can stretch it if I use less. So that's what I did on these two ducks. And how different the same quilt looks, but changing the material a little, You wouldn't think they're practically the same, but it's a kind of fun play on the coloring. And they're all, except for the two that have the big piece of duck in the middle, they're all the same pattern, but how different it looks. And I had fun playing. Now this one, I got this guy a while ago, and I couldn't quite cut him up because I couldn't figure out what we did. So my husband cut these apart to the same size, and then these were made to whatever size would fit. But then I realized for a kid, you don't want white on the edge, so I went around with it. Okay. Okay, now this was a Noah's Ark material. I made 3 of these quilts, and I just played with it a little to have fun with it. And you wonder how the apples fit in? There's apples in the trees there. Now, which way? Another train one. See, this guy I fit in there. I changed it up a little bit, but I still had fun with it. Now, this is another one in that same pattern with the squares, but this one, I didn't have enough, so I just used the odds and ends that weren't the size of the square. Now, this guy here, I didn't want to cut apart the birds, so this and the butterfly panel next to it, this one, are the same thing, but I changed up that I didn't cut up the birds. And it's all bird. Now, the one behind had to fit the fleece that I got. That was the back. And I cut them up, and after I had them laid out, I go, wait, these are supposed to be a storybook, but I didn't have all the numbers, but it still kind of made sense in a kid alike. Now this is some more of the browns. It just sort of went. I gotta leave and I added the red because I thought it needed a little bit something. Now this was a UFO that I got, that he's gonna zoom in on that I don't usually applique, but it was done to the point of the inner pink. And I thought it needed something. This was supposed to be the binding, but after I improvised. That's how come you see I appliqued a little, because I figured those pieces needed to be in there, but that was the only way I could fit them in. Now this guy, I couldn't cut him up no matter what. So I just went with it. Originally the black wasn't going to be around it, but it wasn't big enough, so I go, okay, and it looks better that way. Now this one, I had collect these pinks for a while, and I couldn't figure out how to get them together because what I wanted for the back was this. And I kept trying to figure out. Then I saw that in the store, I go, okay, I figured it out. Then after I realized I needed something to make it bigger, and I had this, but you'll notice a teal on a few of them as a binding. It's the back of this, but I still wanted the pink. And then we got this guy. I don't know what you want me to say.
That's it.